Hello, I'm Colleen Pearl, the Cool Crone. Welcome to my channel. I will be your astrologer today for the full moon in Virgo. The full moon in Virgo will take place on March 7th at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 16 degrees Virgo, 40 minutes. The sign of Virgo is feminine, it's an earth element, it's mutable, and it is ruled by the planet Mercury. Now, what does it mean when the moon is in Virgo? Well, people who have their moon in Virgo like to establish a plan or a process. They want to work efficiently. They want to ensure results. They pay attention to details. They include others, and they don't take the spotlight. They're more focused on getting the job done. And what is a full moon? And what does that mean to us? Well, the full moon is a time in the month when the energy is at its peak or culmination. The sun is standing on one part of the sky 180 degrees away from the moon, which is standing in the opposite part of the sky. The sun is sending out lunar, feminine, receptive, yin energy. The sun is sending out projective, masculine, solar, yang energy. And this bouncing back and forth of the energies gives us emotions. So emotions are heightened because so much of this yin and yang energy is going back and forth. The feminine side of you is wanting to be receptive and loved, and the masculine side of you is wanting to be projective and successful. So, this is a great time to work on issues. The sun and the moon energy going back and forth is literally shining a light on the darkness of the moon, which reflects that back to the sun. This is knowledge. This gives you knowledge about what's going on emotionally in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. Because of this information that you get, you're able to work on those things. This is called shadow work. The full moon is an excellent time to do shadow work because it will allow you to release negative patterns and toxic thoughts. So, the full moon would be an excellent time to let go of emotional baggage. Now, if you've ever felt guilt, fear, jealousy, or disappointment, then you have emotional baggage. And any of those things can be triggered by people, by emotions, by situations, by events, by childhood trauma. The fact is, you don't need these emotions. Guilt, fear, jealousy, and disappointment never got you anywhere. So you might as well let them go. However, for most of us, it takes a while to be able to let them go. Every month, the universe gives you a chance, an opportunity to recognize these wasted emotions and let them go. Let's talk now about how the Virgo moon affects you. Your feeling of safety is related to order and clarity, even in your emotions, when the moon is in Virgo. You may have the need to organize everything chaotic and disorganized in your life. Try at first being more tolerant and accept the imperfections of life. It is better to trust life and let it run its own way. Not everything needs to be according to your expectations. When the moon is in Virgo, people tend to get irritated by small things. If they have explained something to you carefully, they may become irritated if you don't understand or if you need to have it repeated. Your need to organize and keep things just so may cause you to lose patience with others. Keeping things under control may come from a fear of losing control yourself, or it may be related to something that you learned or were taught as a child. When the moon is in Virgo, if you reach out to others about things such as organizing or being of service, you may feel better, rather than retreating into a shell out of the fear that things will not be controlled enough for you. For this particular full moon, We will feel the culmination or peak of energy focused on something probably begun during the new moon in Pisces, which was about 2.5 weeks previous. Emotions will be high, and because we're working with the Pisces Virgo axis, there will be a focus on relationships, fertility, and romance. Things that are a part of our daily routine, such as dealing with pets, our work routine, the people we work with, our daily habits, such as exercise or devotion, will be highlighted, as well as things that stay hidden or forgotten, like our dreams, spirituality, people at great distances, and the infinite. Other planetary influences at this lunation may cause a sudden awareness of something missing or forgotten in our lives. The full moon is a wonderful time to address emotional issues that hold you back or cause you discomfort. Of course, you cannot change or heal everything all in one moon, but you can address one thing with some degree of success. Knowing where the moon is focused is helpful in this regard. So, if you know where Virgo and Pisces fall in your chart, you can pinpoint your work and get better results. There needs to be a balance between work and service, practicality and impracticality. You are not responsible for serving and helping all of humanity, nor is it okay to live your life as if you were the only person on the planet. Get a clue by seeing where the light goes. What is being brought to light? Where is the focus in conversation and thought? This is where you can work on things. Whatever comes up, realize that this is a very emotional time and you may shy away from topics that are brought to your attention. Be gentle with yourself and do what you can. Any work that you do in this direction will be helpful. Express your feelings and realize that the work service balance is what's on board right now. Also, Saturn is entering the sign of Pisces on the same day. Saturn may help you to push yourself a bit. It offers discipline and strength as well as focus on the job at hand. Saturn may also cause you to feel ashamed or guilty about something, so realize when this comes up that it's Saturn pointing you in the direction of where shadow work needs to be done. This phase of the moon occurs at 16 degrees and 40 minutes of Virgo, most significantly affecting people born with personal planets and points at approximately 13 to 21 degrees of the mutable signs Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Now let's talk about the aspects to the full moon. First up is the Sun opposition Moon. During a full moon, the sun, our ego and individuality, stands across the sky from the moon, our emotions and feelings. This can cause us to express things more emotionally than usual, which in turn can cause conflicts with those around us. In other words, you're going to be more sensitive now, especially if you have planets in the mutable signs Gemini, Virgo, Sag, or Pisces. Even members of your family, or maybe especially members of your family, may feel this conflict right now. Sun conjunct Mercury. Since Mercury travels so close to the Sun, it is not possible for this little planet to have anything except a conjunction with the father star. This aspect makes us creative but also subjective because our hearts and minds are joined, and we may not be able to tell the difference between our great ideas and ourselves. Arts and creativity, especially where we get to take center stage, are highlighted now. Also, intellectual pursuits where you can show off your mind will be favored. Remember, though, you will not be objective about your performance. Sun square Mars. This aspect grants physical strength and the ability to work hard, but be careful not to take any unnecessary risks now because you may be too impulsive, easily excitable, and selfish right now. Sun sextile Saturn. We will all want to throw off the shackles of convention with this transit. and we most likely will. After Saturn moves into Pisces, the idea of having someone box us in either to a space or just to rules is ridiculous. We won't have it. Our creative drive is high, and we want to work on things that will benefit others, raise our quality of life, and in general embrace modern progressive ideals. We feel intuitive, and with the Sun conjunct Mercury, our ideas are genius, or so we think. Sun conjunct Neptune. When your heart combines with fantasy, what do you get? Intuition, imagination, empathy, and self sacrifice. We will not be very practical. Then again, some may retreat from the world entirely so that they can focus on something creative or spiritual. We will experience great imagination, intuition, spirituality, and a sense of harmony. However, all these activities will lack order and structure. We will be floating through life. In turn, we will be able to sort of translate big truths to others. Moon opposition Mercury. Memory issues will crop up with this one. Your understanding of others will be fine, but the interpretation may be off. If you love to gossip, here is your aspect. Be kind. Don't get into the weeds. And try taking a break from chatting to use your intelligence for good. Beware that if you gossip for long enough, you may end up deceiving yourself. Moon square Mars. Mars is ruthless and decisive. So when the moon comes into it with a square, we find people who are making decisions and acting out from a deep emotional place. Anger, passion, be careful. Try not to love the conflict. Try not to enjoy any suffering in others. That's not nice. But be forewarned, the boss will get bossier. It won't kill you to conform just a little bit and settle down. Moon trine Uranus. Here is where we find people displaying their unconventional quirks. Don't blame them. The need for independence needs to find an outlet somewhere. After 3 years of conforming for the sake of our safety and well being, there are some who really need to break out. Rather than take it out on their families, allow them to breathe and express themselves. And if you find someone experiencing big mood swings, give them some room. Moon opposition Neptune. You may have a need to search for something transcendental. There will be some who find this is the moment to become religious or join various esoteric movements. This will be short lived because the movement or group will be confused, chaotic, and have unrealistic goals. Venus sextile Mars. This brings out loving and polite gestures. People will be unusually respectful. Also, even though it may bring people together, it won't be for mindless activities. More often, this brings about meaningful conversation and relationships that have a lot of creative energy. Venus conjunct Jupiter. People will exhibit extraordinary generosity and charming manners, and they may expect the same from others. Getting and giving good advice is one happy outcome of this transit when people feel self confident and optimistic, and these qualities often help them achieve success and happiness. Mars square Neptune. Use this time to delve into mysticism, imagination, and fantasy. A practical approach to life is not happening here. Feverish activities to promote oneself through illusion is a hallmark of this one. Behavior tends to be chaotic. And now let's move on to predictions for all 12 signs for the full moon in Virgo. Let's start with Aries. Aries, for you, the sun is in your 12th house for this full moon, along with Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune. The moon is in the 6th house, opposing pretty much all of it. So this means that while you will emotionally want to focus on things in your work, what you'll really need to be focusing on in reality are things that you'd rather forget about. There may be people at a distance, there may be nudgings from your subconscious. You may be having dreams, lots and lots of dreams. you may be working on something creative or spiritual that's really ready to come to fruition. So I think for you, Aries, there's going to be a lot of activity that's internal, subconscious, in dreams, in prayer, in meditation, or working on a really big project where you have to use as much of your mind power as you do any kind of physical thing. This is going to be a little stressful for you, but I think it may even be the culmination of something quite nice. You do have Venus and Jupiter and Chiron in the first house right now. So you are working on healing something, and you're really taking big steps towards doing that. So I think this is going to be a momentous full moon for you. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Libra full moon will do to you when the moon is facing off against that Venus and Jupiter coupled with the sun. So that's going to be very exciting full moon for you coming up in April, which is close to your birthday time anyway. All right. The next sign is Taurus. And Taurus, for you, you have the sun in the 11th house and the moon in the 5th. And this means that you're going to be focusing on groups and others and activities and things that you love. So this is going to be a pleasant full moon for you. It's not going to be a rough full moon. Things have been rough enough for you lately. All of the fixed signs are having kind of a rough time right now. But the moon in your 5th means that you're going to focus on people that you love, probably your children. And the sun in the 11th will mean that you're focusing on adult people that you love, probably people that you're in groups with. It could be people that you work with, but more it's your social circle. Where are you going with that? And also your dreams about the goals that you have in life above and beyond what you do for a job. So this full moon, is giving you some joy and pleasure, and also allowing you to take a step back in life and look at where you're going as far as just making yourself happy. And then we have Gemini. Now, Gemini, you're the first of the mutable signs that we're talking to, and you are one of the 4 signs that's really going to feel this moon quite keenly. The sun will be in your 10th house, the moon will be in your 4th. The 10th house is your career and your legacy, and the 4th house is your family and your home. So you will be dealing with feelings about your family, nurturing them, being at home, spending time with them. You may be dealing with a particular issue with probably a female within your home. And with the sun in the 10th, you may be dealing with some reward at work, a bonus, a promotion, or at least just people appreciating what kind of wonderful work that you actually are doing. So for you, Gemini, it is going to be kind of a challenge for you. The sun in Pisces and the moon in Virgo will be squaring your sun. So if you have Gemini rising, then it may not be where your sun is, but it will be squaring your ascendant as well. And this is going to put you kind of in the hot seat. So there's going to be expectations here for your career. There's going to be expectations here for you concerning your family, especially concerning females in your family. So there's some pressure there, Gemini. So this may not be a very comfortable moon for you. And also you have Mars still in Gemini. It'll be at the end of Gemini. And if that is your rising sign, then you will also be feeling very antsy and very much like you need to go, you need to take action, you need to make things happen. Thankfully, Mars will be moving into Cancer at the end of March, so that feeling will abate a little bit. All right, let's move on to Cancer. Cancer, for you, the sun is in the ninth house and the moon is in the third house. So you will be focusing on your transactions for daily life and communications. So if you have work that has to do with communications, or if you do anything outside of work that is communicative, like writing, singing, speaking, holding meetings, communications in general, then you're going to find that your work all of a sudden is much more meaningful for you. And with your sun in the ninth house, that's the house for foreign countries and foreign lands, and also communications such as publishing or the internet. So you may find that your ability to communicate kind of explodes and that you have many more platforms to communicate on. And Cancer, this may be kind of a revelation for you because your feelings about things are not as involved as they would be if you were having the moon in a water sign or in a cardinal sign. So you may be a little surprised that this full moon hits you as strongly as it does. But Cancer, the full moons always hit you pretty strong. But the one in Virgo is, I think, a bit of a surprise for you because it falls on a succeedant house. So it's wrapping up some business. It's bringing things to you that you wouldn't ordinarily get. And yet there's still just a little bit of tension there with the full moon. Now, next month's full moon will be more difficult for you. So enjoy the ride on this full moon. The next sign is Leo. And for you, Leo, the sun is in the eighth house and the moon is in the second house. So, of course, this is going to fall into your financial sectors and your joint resource sectors. So, if you do have joint resources with a partner, be sure to take a look at it. They are increasing. If you do not have a partner, then look at your investments such as retirement funds, um, any kind of like a 401k, or even annuities, insurance policies, investments, things like that. The eighth house, especially for people who don't have joint finances with another person, would have to do with big money in their life: your mortgage, a home equity loan, a 401k, a big insurance policy, things like that. So, those kinds of things will have a focus for you, Leo, and you will need to maybe attend to a few things and adjust a few things. You do have Saturn, Mercury, Sun, and Neptune surrounding that eighth house. So you're going to want to take care of a few things, and there may be some work to do in order to clean things up because you've got Saturn there. The next sign that we're going to talk about is Virgo. And for you, Virgo, this means that your sun is in the seventh house on this full moon, and the moon is in the first house. So you're really going to be in the spotlight for this full moon. All of the things that you are feeling will be projected out into the world, and they will understand what's happening for you. The sun in the seventh house on a full moon very often will put a focal point more on your partner than on you, or on the relationship itself. So you may find that you need to do a little cleanup work with your relationship. You may find that something has gone missing with your relationship, or you have dropped the ball in some way, and your partner is saying, pick it up, come on, let's get going. Now, if you've really been focusing on yourself because this full moon has been coming up and the moon is there in the first house, then, your partner would have a valid complaint that, hey, you really have dropped the ball here. But if you haven't dropped the ball and it is just something different that has changed in your partner's life, be aware that it's a big, significant change. There are 4 planets there in your seventh house hovering around the area of partnerships. So, especially if you have a planet in your seventh house, though these transiting planets are all hitting them. And that would mean that there is a lot going on for your partner. And you need to use your empathy and your heart and your service heart to help them out during this full moon. And then we come to Libra. And Libra, for you, the sun and moon are just the reverse of what they are for Aries. The sun is in the 6th house and the moon is in the 12th. So for you, there is a lot of focus. There's a lot going on with your work. You are having to do maybe even some extra work right now, but the sun's got good aspects with this full moon. So you're going to have plenty of energy and stamina to do that. But let's talk about the moon in the 12th house. When the moon is in the 12th house, we have extraordinary dreams and we have extraordinary ability to connect with the other side. Your subconscious is very active. If you're at all into spirituality, this would be an excellent time to take up or take a class on something like mediumship or channeling, because that subconscious pipeline is rather open during this full moon. However, you are also very sensitive there. So if you do have any traumas that need to be addressed psychologically, or you have any people that live at a great distance that you tend to forget about, things are going to crop up about those people now at the time of this full moon. So it's going to put a spotlight on that as well, and on you in particular, and how you have dealt with those situations. So be a little bit circumspect now, Libra, and realize that if you haven't really been doing all the things that you should have been doing, then it's going to come up to be made public. So just keep that in mind. And that brings us to Scorpio. Scorpio, this will put the sun of the full moon in your 5th house and the moon in the 11th. So this will be the opposite of what's happening for Taurus. So having the sun in your 5th house means that things are going to be very lively when it comes to activities for fun. And this could be a love affair. This could be things having to do with your kids. This could be a vacation. This could be just participating in games of chance. And I will warn you, Scorpio, that you have a tendency to take things to the nth degree. So if you're doing anything that is considered risky behavior, be really, really careful during this full moon. We do have a couple of aspects here with Mars that make it very risky and says that if you're not careful, you could get hurt. So please be careful, Scorpio, about the amount of risk that you are taking at this time. Having the moon in the 11th house is really meaning that while there's not a lot of planets around there, um, it does put a focus on groups. So if you are doing anything in a group, you probably will enjoy it a great deal, even if you don't usually enjoy it, Scorpio. With this Virgo moon, Virgo is a kind of a sister planet to you. It's a sextile 2 signs away. That's a harmonious aspect. And that would mean that any activities that you do with groups, social groups of any kind, would be rather enjoyable. And it may give you a hint about what you're supposed to be doing with that sun in the 5th house. So, for whatever groups that you're a part of, Scorpio, I would say, yes, go to that spaghetti dinner to watch the kids get a trophy, because the dinner itself may turn out to be an advantageous social connection. The sun in the 5th house, coupled with all those planets that are clustered up there now, mean that the 5th house, meaning activities having to do with games of chance, things that are fun, competitive sports, children, and love affairs, are going to be very, very favorable at the time of this full moon. All right, let's move on to Sagittarius. Sag, this puts the sun of the full moon in your 4th house and the moon in the 10th. So this is the opposite of Gemini. So what do we have to say about this full moon, Sagittarius? Well, when the sun is in your 4th house and you've got all these other planets there, I would venture to say that you're probably doing some work on your house. Now, the lead planet is Neptune, and Neptune has been in your 4th house for quite some time. So I would say that you've got big dreams, big plans, things that you wanted to do to the house that probably just were not practical, or you didn't have enough money to do them. But you do have the sun and Mercury and Saturn there. So there is some practicality and some real ability to manifest coming into the fourth house. Now, this could be acquiring more real estate. It could be changing the home that you actually live in. It could be welcoming new people into your home. It could be downsizing your home. I mean, you've got Saturn there, and Saturn is contraction. So, whether it is construction with Saturn or contraction with Saturn, things will be changing in your home, not in a chaotic Uranian way, but in a probably measured way, and one that follows a design or a plan that you started years ago. You may be seeing the culmination of that now. The moon in your 10th house means accolades for you, having to do with a job well done or just a recognition of many, many years of wonderful service. You're going to get a reward of some kind. Publicly, the people surrounding you at your work or in your industry or your field are going to acknowledge you for being whatever level you are, the expert or the up and coming star, or the new kid to watch, or the person who did the best project, something like that. So you're going to get some sort of recognition there from the moon being in your 10th house around the time of the full moon, and that will be juxtaposed with all of the work going on in the fourth house of your actual home, the real estate of your home. All right, then we've got Capricorn with the sun in the third and the moon in the ninth. So, Capricorn, when the sun is in your third house, you're talking, talking, talking. There's lots of things being planned, strategies being examined, people being met for meetings, just lots of activity in daily life having to do with communicating and expressing your ideas. So, all of that is happening for you. Plus, it's coupled with a few other planets, not only the sun, but also Mercury, which enhances the communication efforts, but it's leading off with Neptune and trailing with Saturn. So Neptune is that dreamy, visionary quality, fantasy, spirituality, subconscious, dreams, things like that. And Saturn is the work, the taskmaster, the lessons, the concreteness, the contraction. So with all of those planets in your third house, Capricorn, you're going to be doing some serious changing around. You're going to be designing things. You're going to be looking at things, talking about things with people, taking meetings, drawing plans, mapping things out. All of these fall into the third house, and all of these planets are going to help you do it. You've got the moon in the ninth house, which means that you're looking beyond your normal borders, your normal neighborhood, your normal job. So you're looking at maybe companies who are overseas. You're looking at, and this is for ideas in work and expressing the communications that you're doing in these other meetings. You're looking at things beyond your normal borders. So other countries, other languages, other cuisines, other schools of thought, other philosophies, the publishing industry, the legal industry, lots of things that are other, that are out there, that use all of these things. Even music falls into the ninth house. Other things that use different languages are what the ninth house is all about. So space, we have a completely different language for speaking about space. The internet has its own language, and we talk about the internet in the ninth house too. So all of those things are going to be focused on during this full moon for you. All right, let's look at Aquarius. Aquarius, you have the sun in your second house, so lots and lots of activity pertaining to your business structure. You may be redesigning your business. You may be looking at revamping it, maybe rebranding it, maybe giving it a new look, updating things in your business. You may be acquiring partners. All sorts of things are possible here with the sun, Neptune, Mercury, and Saturn all in your second house. Consequently, you may also be suffering from some setbacks financially, and you may be having to take a reorganization or a restructuring of your business if you own a business, And if this is just for your finances at the house, at your household, then I would say that they are also going under severe review and perhaps actual change about the way that you earn your living, the way you structure income, the way you use your talents, the way you value your own resources. All of those things would really be topical and really pinpointed at the time of the full moon. Now, the moon itself is going to be in your eighth house. And Aquarius, this means that the focus is on your joint finances. So if you already have a business partner, or if this is your spouse, then you are definitely going to be feeling like you need to review every little thing that's going on in that eighth house. So that's any kind of big money or big loan or big deal. This could be rewriting your will. This could be adding additional insurance. This could be changing your 401k. This could be moving your monies to different kinds of bank accounts. So anything having to do with joint finances or really big money in your life that you have the ability to control or move around, that's where you're going to be focused on this full moon. And the last sign, of course, is Pisces. And Pisces, you're another mutable sign who may have a bit of a tough time during this full moon because of all the planetary involvement. You've got the sun in your first house and the moon in your seventh. So this is also going to involve your partner. Your partner is going to be very needy at this time, and you are going to be full of activity and maybe not feel that you are able to give your partner the attention that they need. But do it, Pisces. It's really, really important. Everything in life is a balancing act, right? So just because you have the sun, Neptune, Mercury, and Saturn in your first house at the time of this full moon doesn't mean that you can ignore your partner, who is represented by the moon in the seventh. In fact, the full moon is going to kind of force you to look at all of that. So that's why we say at the beginning of this prediction of this video that the mutable signs are going to be feeling this most keenly. So having the sun in your first house or transiting your first house along with Mercury and Saturn means that there's a lot of work to do on yourself, that you are going to be pretty much rebranding yourself. The lead planet to that is Neptune, who has been in your first house for over a decade. So your idea of rebranding may have taken too long. You may have been going really slowly in that rebranding, not wanting to rock the boat. And now all of a sudden, with this full moon, your partner may be saying, just do it. You just have to do it. You just have to rip off the Band-Aid and make the change. And so that may be the impetus that you need in order to complete that branding, that rebranding that you're going to be doing, but you need to do it. You'll feel better. You'll feel more fulfilled, and you'll be letting go of some things that have been holding you back, Pisces, especially if this has to do with you as the face of a business. So that is everything for me as far as the predictions. I'm going to put my little face back up here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. Please share and let your friends know, and maybe they'd like to subscribe too. Okay, I'll see you next time.